Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Gianna Brown, and joining me is Cailey Thalman, a Penn State Athletics talent intern. Thank you so much for coming in tonight, Cailey.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
So, originally being from the DC area, what made you come to Penn State?
Gosh, there is a story involved with this one. My family grew up Penn State fans, as many people who come here are. But I was kind of always like, what's so special about this school? I don't really get it. It's a college. Like, what can be so special about this place? And my dad said, okay, you need to see this. And so he decided when I was in 8th grade to take me to the 2017 Penn State Whiteout against Michigan. And Saquon Barkley ran the opening play back for a touchdown. And I said after that, okay, there is no place that can possibly top what this emotion feels like. And so every time I looked at a school after that, I was always like, okay, is this Penn State? Is this Penn State? Is this Penn State? And I toured almost 30 schools and no school was Penn State. So that's how I got here.
That's actually a great story. So what are you studying here?
So I am a broadcast journalism major. I have minors in entrepreneurship and innovation, digital media trends and analytics, and I also am doing the John Curley Center certificate.
Well, what made you interested in sports in the first place?
I feel like every person says this, but growing up, I went to so many sporting events with my dad. He is a huge Washington Capitals hockey fan, and being from the DC area, the Caps were our team. So starting as a 3-year-old, I would go to probably 20 or 30 games a year, and I just was completely fascinated by it. My dad said I've never seen a 3-year-old so interested in that. I'd be there asking questions about the penalties and who was what number, and by 4 I was memorizing the entire roster. And so from then on I was like, okay, there's nothing else that can replicate this energy, and so I kind of just wanted to be surrounded by that forever.
Absolutely. So what are you involved in at Penn State that you've been able to pursue this sports interest?
That's a complicated question because what am I not involved in, honestly? I'm the director of events for the Association of Women in Sports Media. I'm on-camera talent for Penn State Athletics, covering all 31 sports at Penn State. I'm a sideline reporter for Big Ten Plus at Penn State. I'm part of Penn State Sports Night. I'm part of Com Radio. I've just started a new position as communications team for Teammates for Life, which is a women's initiative here. So really everything and anything, honestly.
Yeah, it seems like you're in almost every club here. So how do you find time for all of this?
That's been probably the hardest thing to learn since coming to college. Going from high school to college, I really thought the schoolwork transition was going to be the hardest, and it really hasn't been. My days are scheduled from 9 a.m. to sometimes 11 p.m., and I have to remind myself a lot of the time that I am a college student. I am supposed to be having fun here, which I am having a lot of fun, but sometimes it's been a lot about learning kind of work-life balance, and I've started to learn that, okay, it's okay to say no to things. For example, I'm going home this Easter despite there being games going on this weekend that I could be covering. So yeah, as I've gotten more into my Penn State career, you would say I have learned to kind of not spread myself too thin.
Absolutely. It's been about 2 years now, so far, what's been your favorite memory?
Oh my gosh, there are so many different memories. I remember, obviously, my first football game as a fan was truly something special, and I think every Penn State student would say that. Being in that student section as a Penn State student is not something you're ever going to get the opportunity to do in your life again. But in terms of covering sports, the first time I truly was kind of sitting there on the sidelines thinking like, wow, how is this real, is my first Big Ten Plus call. It was for women's soccer. They were playing TCU. And I was standing there with the producer in my ear while the anthem was playing, kind of waiting to go live. And I was like, wow, this is it. You know, obviously not for the rest of my life, but I just felt like, okay, I have done what little me wanted to do already. Mm-hmm. And that is something so special. So that would probably be it so far.
So taking these moments and all the other roles that you're playing, what do you want to do post-graduate?
There are so many things I want to do post-grad. My dream is to cover sports on camera. I think that's pretty obvious at this point, but the capacity for me to do that with social media and everything is expanding all the time. So ideally, I'd love to cover college sports. I feel like I found my home doing college sports, especially at a school like Penn State. So Jenny Taft is a sideline reporter for Fox Big Noon covering the Big Ten. That's probably the dream.
Yeah. And lastly, what's your advice to students who want to follow a path similar to yours?
Work hard. I think that is the biggest thing. Like, you really have to put your head down and work and think about what your priorities are going to be. It's a grind. There's so many sides that are so unglamorous about doing this in college. I mean, there have been people who've seen me like walking up the hill in downtown State College with a broken tripod, carrying my backpack and my hair all messed up with a 25-pound camera bag, walking 2 miles to go cover a softball game. And that's truly the reality of it. But if you love what you do, that is so minuscule in kind of the overall picture of everything. So, yeah.
Well, Cailey, thank you so much for coming in tonight and telling us more about your experience with Penn State Athletics. Now, stick around, because coming up next, Jason and Emma will have the latest news from across the nation.